Back to the adventures of Susan MeeLing, Scuba Diver Extraordinaire, Volume 1. Chapters 1 through 4 of a 3-part series written by Reverend Susan MeeLing, Reverend MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle, a few other names. You can, as a side note, starting on the bottom of 120, before going to page 121, in reference to my Medal of Honor art project, I learned that there is only one female Medal of Honor recipient. Her name is Dr. Mary Edwards, who had been a doctor during the Civil War and had been transferred to various locations to assist the North. However, she endured captivity by the South while the war was going on. When the Southern Army had found out she was a doctor and could help them heal from the battle wounds, her treatment had been changed from the original treatment of irony. That did not mean she was no longer a prisoner of war until after the Northern Union Army found her to save her and help her recover. But the time she had been a prisoner of war had been a portion in which the reasons for her earning the Medal of Honor. When I was in a gas station in Idaho during 2017, during a time, I think it was at the Phillips gas station, I had met an elder female who told me about the 6888 Battalion, Postal Battalion, and when I went to attempt to balance out the aspects of my Medal of Honor art project, I couldn't find much information on them. So I contacted the FBI back then, and I received a letter saying that the FBI was looking into things at the house in Lakewood. And so, well before returning to the state of Texas to, go to the San Antonio FBI and give them some books as well as, a few other locations. Before mailing a bunch of books, irony on that American Civil War aspect. Real quick, as a side note, the little boys in the apartment of 727 or 725. Yeah, I think it's one or the other. I think it's 725. And then 736 or whatever. Or 737. 725. 737. And their little temper tantrums that they throw, like the little boys that came upstairs the other night this week to tell me that I couldn't wear heels in my apartment. And the little boy, biologically an adult, but the little boy who wanted to tell me that I should wear slippers in my apartment instead of heels. How that would be that he would know exactly. Before I showed that I was wearing heels, just throwing that out there, kind of a little weird, but as that side note, before going on with the books, I want to make a quick little statement. Obviously, it is known that I have been working on my Medal of Honor art project, and I would be extremely upset if, number one, there were changes made to the pieces on top of the limited numbers that I found. accommodation issues. Number two, if after I had gotten the pieces, or before, but let's say before, it shouldn't have been before, because obviously I took them from the house in Lakewood to McClendon's. But if before they were encased, if they were registered with the Library of Congress, all right, cool, I understand that. But if there were cherubim afoot and they were messing with things after my initial work, then there would be spiritual ramifications. Period and end of story. If, hypothetically speaking, after I got the pieces to go and drop them off, and there were cherubim afoot that chose to, I don't know, break open the seal after it was encased, then those spiritual ramifications, I mean, those cherubim ones would have already married themselves to my dead ex-husband. But if the seals were broken after picking them up from the from my Medal of Honor art project from McClendon's, after I dropped them off in the specific locations, let's say whether the cherubim ones choose to want to either A, write their names on them, or B, damage those pieces. Either one technically is considered damage. I would guesstimate they never once thought about the fact that, for example, for the ones that had the cross, Christian cross, I mean, I did literally write the Our Father prayer over and over again. So to think arrogantly that there wasn't anything being done at that time, not forgetting during the rubbing portions or the painting, that would be an arrogant, stupid, ignorant, a whole bunch of New Jersey words that the only way that they could ever be able to forget what they did would be if they were no longer breathing. Because I will never exorcise them. I will never divorce them. And no matter how many temper tantrums thrown, it doesn't change that at all. Not forgetting all those that they would have pissed off really, really badly. But then I also found out about the wave irony of talking about my scuba diving books. And recently I had tweeted back when I was writing this about wondering how to get the females who had been proven under the equivalent of the males for the Medal of Honor Award, and hope to be a part of the ceremonies if possible. Irony! I know there are at least 2 to 3 female Silver Star awardees who might be able to qualify for the Medal of Honor, but obviously that is up to the House of Congress, House of Senate, Vice President of the United States of America, and President of the United States of America. Currently, that would be the Vice President is Mike Pence, and the current President is Donald J. Trump, along with their White House administration. Which, by the way, yes, I did vote for who is in office. Yes, I did know that he was going to get the presidency. No, I did not know that me speaking about it meant I was technically campaigning. Like I had to look up the meaning of that word and then like understand that. I had no idea. I had no idea. But yeah, I'm still gonna vote for him November 3rd or 3 November 2020. And I highly recommend you guys do too, because, you know, despite the fact that we're in quarantine on, you know, that status, realistically it is for the safety. Because, you know, you don't want that sort of stuff to spread. Isn't it ironic, though, when you think about certain things? I actually was made fun of. Not that it's funny, but I was made fun of a bunch. And one of the things I was made fun of for in the BDSM community, specifically by the TNGers, specifically by them, was that I was adamant about putting myself through the Austin Dominant Mentor Program. I got grief from a few individuals who weren't in the TNG group, and it was one of those, yeah, but you got trained in stuff overseas. You know, I want, like, you had that sort of training, so, like, it's at least a starting point for certain things. And you know, nothing wrong with you not wanting to do it. It's a personal thing for me. And it wasn't that it was being made fun of the way the TNGers did. It was just, we were talking, and we talked about different points of, for certain individuals. But yes, I was made fun of because I went to the level after the final week in boot camp for the Austin Dominant program was we had to do an essay, and the leader of the group had said that they had people who tried to compete by writing the most amount of information, but like just using, you know, more and more elaborate words instead of just getting straight to the point about stuff, in reference to those essays in regards of 10 different STDs. And so I wanted to make sure that I could give them the information that was needed while learning as much as I could. And then, you know, I already was really, really precautious about stuff. After that, I was like, yes, I'm going to get the purple lidded sterilization wipes that kill like diseases that I never heard of. And I'm going to do that just to be on the safe side, because I don't want to be responsible for anybody getting an STD that, you know, it's something you can't and you won't get rid of. And so, well, yeah, no, I fully do not deny those cherubim ones. There is no hope for those spiritually transmitted diseases because of their marriage to my dead ex-husband. That's not going to happen. Now, there are ways to make, you know, the compassionate, honorable, and righteous ones feel better if they had any interaction with those cherubim ones. There are ways for that to be taken care of, but not the cherubim ones at all. They will never be cleansed of. I will never allow that. No matter what. No matter how many attempts. So as a hypothetical example, if the little boys in 725 have been working with other cherubim ones in a hypothetical way, the ones in 737 were a part of causing issues, and they continued, and so on and so forth after realizing certain things, there will not be a divorce, there will not be a cleansing, you will not forget it ever, and it's not going to happen. Take no for an answer. No means no. But enjoy your sleep, because that won't ever clear away. And so, you know, I have been diligent on doing a bunch of things to try to make sure that there's the dignity and respect for my Medal of Honor art project, as well as the different branches of the United States of America's armed forces, as well as law enforcement, fire department, elected officials, so on and so forth. However, um, I would guesstimate it would be realized that number one, um, I've always been that way. I'm sure that there's been a way for that to be verified. And number two, I wouldn't do anything to be disrespectful on purpose when it comes especially to military. As many times as I argued and fought with people, specifically more so in the Austin area, with the back and forths of, Lady Dori, Belle, like, why won't you feel sympathy for me? Because there's like a whole bunch of guys that are dealing with a whole bunch more important stuff than your whining and your titty baby temper tantrums. That's why. Lady Dori, Belle, why don't you feel like you care about me? Because I don't feel like I care about you. I don't. Because I don't. Well, I'm going through stuff in college, and you just don't know how difficult college is. You're right, I don't. But what I do know about education is I got a whole bunch of SCUBA certifications while taking care of my children and doing what would be the equivalent of college lab work, all at the same time. And so, Lady Dori, Belle, that's not the same thing as college. What did you say you were getting your degree in? And, it was usually something like, oh, basket weaving, or I'm learning how to get a degree in painting, or something like that. And it's like, really? Oh, okay, so like life-saving stuff that only rely on, no. Yeah, no, okay, but again, I shouldn't be able to get into college. That's technically, by technicalities, irony of ironies, a technical whatever. And while I do admit, later, like as in 2019, I was told that the VA, Voc Rehab, assists veterans with that sort of education, which is really cool. I earned my certifications as I have, and I could attempt to retroactively get that back, but that would take away from a veteran that could be rehabilitated into a job that they could do. And while I understand in comparison to the type of numbers and stuff, it's pennies, if that, the time that it would take. Not that I don't care. I very much do. I wouldn't have gone as far as I have, pun intended, if I didn't care. But in that reference, it's one of those, I understand that there is enough that they deal with when it comes to getting their benefits or their retirement or their education or whatever you want to bring up, it not forgetting health care or anything like that. And it's not to denounce the fact that I have the stuff available to me. It's not that at all. It's that I want those guys who don't have the luxury in certain regards, not that it's been a luxury in a lot of ways, but they're guys that, they can go and utilize that and do more and make better stuff for themselves and their loved ones. And well, okay, wrote the books and doing what I can as best as I can and stuff like that. It's not to cheapen anything that I've done. It's, ironically, if you think about it, it brings certain ways more worth to it because it's not to be like putting myself on a pedestal. That's the furthest thing. Those who have known me, like actually knew me, not pretended that they knew me. You know, I'm much more humble than a lot of people would choose to give me credit for. And so, it's more of a, goes back to the plastic surgery. There are guys that could get it, and the time that it would take for somebody to redo the paperwork and stuff like that, they could be getting another, person through the process, or several, because it'd be retroactive, so it would be several that would be able to go through and get their education. And it's been a long time. I got my certifications in 2009. So, back in 2009, they weren't looking at things the way that they are now. And so the amount of guys who have been able to benefit from that, that's great. That is awesome. But to go through that sort of stuff, and then the employees that would, know that there are other guys who could be getting their stuff taken care of, it's a weird dichotomy, I admit it. But the amount of people that would give me, like, like my biological mother, oh, I have a master's degree and you don't know anything. Yeah. I mean, you're right. You got a master's degree. I got 26 SCUBA certifications. But, you got your master's degree. Okay. Biological science. I got a master's degree. Well, yes, you do. And you got one in a field that, you could actually be of some use. But, then there are guys who have the experience and the degrees. And, I'm just throwing that out there. And the experience that they have and the training that they have combined is a lot more than what you simply read in a book. And just reading in a book or just watching a video doesn't make you an expert. You can learn a lot. I'm not saying that you can't, but there is experience that is required. And when it comes to scuba diving, you best have like some serious experience. A lot of experience in some cases. I mean, you're not allowed to go tech diving until you have a certain level of experience. You can't go into, you have to have a certain level of experience before you can go to cavern diving. You have to have a certain level of experience before you can go ice diving. And you don't necessarily need a certification for certain ones. I don't know if you need a certification for ice diving per se, but because I am as safety conscious as I am, I did read the books for technical trimix diving. And while I understand that like other people could do that mixture, bit more than I could chew. That math was just a bit much, and I was like, okay, that's a little bit much for me. I can't do that. And so knowing your limitations is extremely important, and to tie that back together in reference to the being made fun of for the level of sanitation that I went through for my tools. I can honestly say my tools, if I used them on people, you could never claim that you caught something from me. Not truthfully. Not truthfully. You could not claim that you caught something from me when using, because I'd sanitize them before. If I knew I was going to play, I'd sanitize them before I got there, well as after using them, and before putting them away. And then when getting back, I'd sanitize them again just to be on the safe side. Like the CDO-ness that nobody could truthfully say that. There are people who would probably lie, but yeah, that's them, not me. And not only would they not get it from me, they wouldn't have gotten it from my tools. Not with the way I sanitize. No, absolutely not. So, now if somebody else used my tools without my permission, and then those individuals got something that, well, that's on whoever used my tools without my permission. And that's a whoever used my tools without my permission's problem, not mine. So going on into page 1, 2, 3, and chapter 3, officially preparing for scuba diving. It's a quick little excerpt that I'll read, and then I'll start another video. After Palm Sunday in 2000, as well as after the death of my dead ex-husband and the death of my ex-father-in-law, after, as I have joked, since I was born in the year of the dog, and of getting myself neutered with a tubal ligation, as well as after the tummy tuck and breast augmentation surgeries to repair my body after as much weight as I had gained per pregnancy. I went from 113 pounds to over 200 pounds with the pregnancy of my son, James Michael. Only lost 30 pounds before getting pregnant with my daughter and gained another 75 pounds, which I worked off the excess weight on my own, but would not allow myself to take a surgery away from any soldier who was a part of the United States of America's Armed Forces in the plastic surgery division because of my choice to have my children. And they did not have the choice when whatever occurred in which they needed the surgeries for themselves to recover quicker. I have been made fun of for that over the years, as others said that they would have taken the spots off of the list to get that done, that I knew throughout the DFW area, both in the DFW chapter of Club Femme, as well as those that I met in the sanctuary, not forgetting the different groups in the Austin community, and then also even in San Antonio. But I wouldn't change it. I obviously can't. I felt that I would have been selfish for taking a spot away from any one of them. And maybe at some point down the timeline, I would have been able to afford as such, which I did. Personally, it did mean several extra years before I could do it and get it done. But I allowed it to be that way because of my own moral and ethical standards. Though, again, as I've said in reference, there were 2 different surgeries. The tummy tuck is one and the breast augmentation is another. I was able to get it done in one surgery, technically, time frame, and one consultation. Certain surgeries for some of those guys take more than one consultation. As many times as I had to go back to try to convince the military that I really, really, really wanted the tubal ligation, that was enough for me. And I was just one of those, I wasn't going to take that away from someone who could actually get it, or multiple soldiers. And going back to that aspect of, in reference to the scuba diving aspects, those who understand what it takes to get certain things, and not to make light of it, not to be mean or anything of that sort. But there are guys who can get into college and they can get degrees where they can further themselves, get an education in ways that Yes, I did. I got my certifications. But those guys also know the time it takes to get certain paperwork put through. So the amount of time that it would take to get a retroactive thing, how many guys would be able to get their college stuff taken care of? So, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you share and like and watch all of my YouTube channel, Reverend MeeLing videos. During this time, there's plenty of time. Thank you.